Halifax, wildlife lovers in Nova Scotia and beyond are mourning the loss of veterinarian Helena Marie Van Donink, who died from ovarian cancer on Friday. Van Donink and her husband co-founded the Cobequid Wildlife Rehabilitation Centre, CWRC, outside Truro in 2001. Van Donink was the centre's driving force as well as a recognized international expert on the treatment of oiled birds. Cobequid Wildlife Rehabilitation Centre veterinarian Helena Van Donink died on Friday after battling cancer, CWRC, Facebook. Cobequid Wildlife Rehabilitation Centre veterinarian Helena Van Donink died on Friday after battling cancer, CWRC, Facebook. Cobequid Wildlife Rehabilitation Centre veterinarian Helena Van Donink died on Friday after battling cancer, CWRC, Facebook. Just last month, she was awarded the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association's Humane Award for her dedication to caring for injured wildlife. Her illness meant she was unable to attend the national convention in Vancouver to receive the award in person. Her husband Myrtle Messer said on Monday that his wife's passion and dedication to caring for injured and orphaned wildlife continued to the very end. Helena wasn't one to toot her own horn or sit on her laurels, she just accepted things and kept going, Messer said in an interview. Article continued below. Even up to the very end, when she was on her bed and unable to really come out to the buildings and work on animals, she would ask me to bring things into her to look at and examine. Her dedication went right to the very end. She sacrificed everything pretty much for this organization, a tribute written on the Cobequid Wildlife Rehabilitation Centre website noted. Van Donink single-handedly was succeeding in eliminating the use of lead in hunting and fishing because of its impact on wildlife, especially eagles. Soon after news of her death was posted on Facebook Saturday afternoon, tributes began pouring in, several with variations of "Fly High with the Eagles." Messer said his wife willingly and eagerly dedicated her life to wildlife rehabilitation and education. Two issues at the forefront for her included lead poisoning of wildlife from spent ammunition and the negative impact of free-roaming cats on songbirds. Everybody who knew Helena appreciated her sense of humor and sarcasm because she cut to the bone pretty quickly, and for me her legacy is her influence on other people. She was able to win over anglers and hunters to get them to switch over to non-lead alternatives. That was a huge win for her, he recalled. It was her personality and ease communicating with others that did it. She took a non-confrontational approach. She basically said, "Hey, can I talk to you guys? Here's what I see in my world and here's why it's happening. Let's work together and change it so that we're not hurting wild animals unnecessarily." Messer said his wife also left her mark as an educator. Her career path included teaching animal care technology courses in Newfoundland and later at the Dalhousie University Faculty of Agriculture. Article continued below. Even without being in the wildlife world, she'd already had an influence on animal treatment and animal care and ethics with regards to just companion animals and clinical practices, he said. She was hugely influential because her personality and her dedication to her ethics just spilled over into other people. Helena was one of the most ethical people I know, and her core philosophy in everything she did in medical practice was what's best for the animal. Messer said the stage for what would become the Cobequid Wildlife Rehabilitation Centre was set early on when Van Donink was working in small animal veterinary practice. She quickly became known as the go-to person for injured wildlife. People would bring in a bird that hit a window or a bird that maybe their cat had brought home or something along those lines, and she knew from her experience that all the animal might need is a small amount of medication and just some time and care to fix themselves or be healed. Messer said, most small practices are not set up to look after wild animals, so she would bring stuff home and look after it and make sure it was well enough to be released. When it became too much for the couple financially and due to space constraints, they decided to turn her passion into a non-profit organization and the CWRC was born. Last year, the center rehabilitated between 450 and 500 animals ranging from starlings, pigeons and seagulls to eagles, great horned owls and foxes. Everything under the sun species-wise in Nova Scotia would come through the door, he said. When you're dealing with so many species and so many things, the knowledge required to look after that variety, to house them and provide proper nutrition for them all, is phenomenal. She was at the core of all that and she had the skill and the knowledge to do it. It was quite remarkable. Messer said his wife Steph has left the center with very big shoes to fill, but her legacy will live on and the center will continue to operate. Everybody here who knew her and worked with her and loved her wants the center to continue as it is into the future because there's certainly a need for it in Nova Scotia and it's well recognized as a forefront organization in dealing with injured and orphaned wildlife, especially for large birds of prey. He said, "It's important that it moves ahead into the future and so we as a group have to look at how we're going to make that happen in her absence because she was the driving force behind it. We have a core group of volunteers and staff and dedicated board members who want to fulfill Helene's vision and make sure that the organization continues on, so that's what's going to happen." As of Monday afternoon, almost 300 individuals had replied to the CWRC's Facebook post about Van Donink's death. Among them was John Halverson. He considered her his hero, and wrote about how her passion for educating fellow rehabilitators led her to a user group he also frequented called Raptor Care. "She gently, yet firmly, educated me on the dangers of hunting with lead. Several years ago, I helped arrange to fly her to South Dakota to speak at the State Wildlife Federation convention. She walked into a room full of skeptics and even blatant enemies and won them over." Halverson wrote, "She may have thought I was joking when I would call her my hero, but it was a fact. Helene proved mortal, but her passion and the results of her work are immortal. Those of us that are better prepared for rehab and education are legion. Helene continues in our work." Yvette D'Entremont is a Halifax-based reporter covering health, environment and education. Follow her on Twitter, @d'Entremont.